Actually concentrate a little more. So let me just give a quick recap about the last week's sessions, okay? And then I'll start today's session. You're not able to hear me? Guys, you're not able to hear me? Okay, okay, fine. Guys, if people are not able to hear me, that means there's a problem with at your end. Please open, I mean, just you can just turn on your speaker. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just share my screen. And as said, I'll just recap the whole thing which we have discussed in the last classes. Okay. So Zoom is very comfortable to me actually. So you're able to see my whiteboard, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. We're actually talking about the EC2. So EC2 is a virtual machine as said in the cloud. Okay. So what we have done, we have created an EC2 instance. Okay. And then we have launched a default web server called Apache. And we have hosted with the help of public IP address, right? And then what we have done, we have taken an AMI from the modified instance, okay? And this AMI will have a pre-installed the software or the package called Apache, and we have created another EC2 instance from that. And this second instance, by default, will have Apache we directly hosted with the help of public IP address. Okay, so till that we have done about the EC2, and then we have started with EBS. So this EBS, which stands for Elastic Block Store, this EBS is a volume for your EC2 instance, correct? And what we have done, we can create an EBS volume. I'm talking about the data volume because the root volume, by default, EC2 instance will have a root volume. Without the root volume, EC2 instance can't be run. You cannot run the EC2 instance. Okay, so we can create an EBS data volume when you are creating the EC2 instance and also after the creation of EC2 instance. Okay, so we have seen how to create an EBS volume after the creation of an EC2 instance. And what I have done, what are the points which we have discussed? The EC2 and the EBS should be there in the same availability zone, isn't it? So if your EC2 instance and the EBS volume, if they are in the same availability zone, then you can attach the EBS to this EC2 instance. Okay, and once you create an EBS volume in a specific availability zone, okay, you can write the points also, I'm just going very slowly. Once you create an EBS volume in a specific availability zone, you cannot change the availability zone of an EBS volume. Cannot change the AZ of EBS volume. But you can modify the volume size and volume type. Okay, you can modify the volume size and volume type. Maybe if you are using a general purpose, you can move to provisioned IOPS or throughput optimized, cold or magnetic, whatever it may be. And once you create a volume of 2 GB or whatever, you can increase to 3. You can modify it, but you cannot decrease the volume size. No. Okay. So once you create a volume, EBS volume with a specific volume size, you cannot decrease it. You can only increase it. And if you have two EC2 instances in the same availability zone and you want to use an EBS volume of one instance for other one, you need to detach and attach to another instance if they're in the same availability zone. That means this EBS volume cannot be attached to two instances at the same time. So in Saturday assessment, I asked this question and someone came to me and asked me, so ma'am, you said that this EBS can be attached to two instances. Yes, it can be attached, but at the same time, it cannot be attached. So there is a catch in the question. Okay, so you have to detach it from this EC2 instance and then attach to this. This is the second one and this is the first one. Okay, but if you have instances in different availability zones, then you need to take a snapshot This snapshot is a region specific. That means unlike a EBS, this snapshot is region specific. This EBS is a availability zone specific. So you are aware of it, right? What is an availability zone and a region? One or more availability zones will make a region. Okay, so a region is geographical area, and in that you will have the availability zones, and these availability zones are the physical data centers. Okay, so when you create a snapshot, this snapshot is replicated in all availability zones. That is the reason this snapshot is region specific. And from this snapshot, you can create another EBS volume in this availability zone. So having the same data in two different volumes, if it is of 10 GB, it is also of 10 GB. Okay, guys, why you are raising your hand? Huh? You're just trying to experiment with Zoom, or you want something else? You can just send me a message if you have any questions, guys. Okay. Yeah, I can't do anything if you raise your hand. I may just check the messages. Okay. Yeah. So you will be having the same data in two different volumes. Okay. So now what we'll do, we'll discuss about EFS. So I have introduced about this in the last class. Okay. Shall we add that snapshot only after detaching? You don't add the snapshot, you create the snapshot. Okay, no, it's not required like that. Even when your EC2 instance is running, you can take a snapshot. So if I am talking about this snapshot, okay, I mean, if you see in the last class, what we have done, I created an EC2 instance and I created a data volume. And what I have done, I have taken the snapshot when this EBS is attached to this EC2 instance only. Okay, so the snapshot can be taken when your EC2 instance is running and when this EBS is attached to this EC2 instance only. Okay, Imran? So you can take snapshot at any point of time, doesn't matter. Maybe as a best practice, you can detach and attach it. But what if it's a critical application and every time it will insert data into EBS? You cannot detach it all the time. Okay. What is the difference between the snapshot and migration snapshot? What is migration snapshot? Can we detach the root volume? That's basically my question I usually ask to my students. Yes, if you ask me, we can detach the root volume, but we need to stop your instance to detach the root volume, because this EC2 instance will be running through root volume only. So you can stop it and detach it. Okay, without root volume, you cannot run your EC2 instance. No. See, I said you can take a snapshot and this is region specific. The snapshot, you will not attach this snapshot to anything here because this is just a kind of a backup kind of thing. The EBS is the actual volume. This is a backup. No, you cannot attach it. Okay, in order to attach it, you have to create another EBS volume in different availability zones. And you can attach to the EC2 instances of that volume. Yes, snapshot is like a template. It has the information about the volume. It has a backup of the volume. Okay, Imran? Yeah. Okay. And yesterday someone asking me privately in LinkedIn. It's a good question actually. Once you detach, once you take a snapshot from this EBS volume, if I change this volume, if I had some sort of data into this volume after taking the snapshot, will the data would be reflected in the snapshot or not? Good question actually, but the data will not be reflected. No. So for example, okay, let me explain more about this. I have an EBS volume, okay, and I have some file.txt in this volume. If I take a snapshot, this snapshot one will have the details of file.txt. Okay, now I have added file2.txt. When I add some data, it will not reflect in the snapshot. No. When you have taken the snapshot at this point of time, what data is there will only be reflected. If you want to take the snapshot of the added or the updated data, you need to take another snapshot for that. Okay. So all are independent components. Can we attach snapshot in same availability? So guys, snapshot is not something to attach it. It is just to create a volume from out of it. Please understand. You cannot attach snapshot to anything. Yes, it's like a disaster recovery kind of solution. Snapshot is not availability zone specific. This is region specific. So you cannot ask, can we create EBS in the same availability zone with snapshot? Snapshot itself is region specific, no? Okay, from snapshot, you can create multiple EBS volumes in different availability zones. have, see, oh my goodness. See, you have a volume. Please understand, guys, don't ask this kind of questions. It's embarrassing. Okay, see, you have a volume. Okay, I have 2 files. You took a snapshot. This snapshot also will have 2 files. If you create a volume, how many volumes you can create it? If you create a volume from the snapshot, these volumes will have these 2 files. Okay, Saideep? Yeah. Like, I mean, I cannot compare with that, but you try to check this archive, zip. So let's take you have a some set of files in a folder. You zip it. What do you do? From zip, you can create another folder like this, right? The same way. So you can just compare. I don't exactly compare it, but you can just compare the zip as a snapshot because you cannot open and use the zip files, but you can create folders from there, or you can create volumes from that snapshot, and you can use these volumes and attach to the EC2 instances like this. అర్థమైందా? అర్థమైందని అనుకుంటున్నాను. Balaji will come to that. EFS is a solution for that. So how can we link 2 instances in different availability or same data could be shared? 2 EBS volumes not possible. Allah kaadu. That's what the EFS is. Yes, Pawan is telling that. Okay. So EFS is also a storage to your EC2 instance. EBS as well as EFS. These are the volumes for your EC2 instances, both. So if both are volumes, what is the difference between both? Okay. So let me just compare with the EBS. I said that your EBS and your EC2 instance should be there in the same availability zone in order to attach it. But this EFS is actually region specific. That means the EFS servers are replicated in all the availability zones. That is the reason wherever your EC2 instance is there, in which availability zone it is there, it can be 1A or 1B or 1C or 1D, you will be able to mount to this EFS, attach to this EFS. So you need not worry about this point in EFS. So when you're creating an EBS volume, you should be in the same availability zone. But when you're creating an EFS, you don't define at all because EFS is a region specific and you need not worry about where your EC2 instance is there. First point. Okay. And once you create an EBS volume, you cannot change the availability zone of the EBS volume. That's what I said, right? But because this EFS itself is region specific, you need not worry about changing the availability zone. And third thing is, once you create a volume, you can modify the volume size and volume type. Actually, in EFS, you don't define any volume size at all. It supports auto scaling. When I say auto scaling, according to your data, you can actually expand it and you shrink back it. So when you're creating an EFS, you don't define any volume size or 1 GB or 10 GB or whatever. Let's take in EBS, I have created a volume of 10 GB. but you have only 1 GB of actual data, you will be charged for 10 GB or 1 GB. Obviously 10 GB. You have created a volume. Whether you add data into it or not, it doesn't matter. You would be charged for 10 GB. But in EFS, it's not like that. You don't define any volume size like this. You just go and start building your data, and AWS will expand your volume size accordingly. As said, if you have 1 KB, you'll be charged for 1 GB or 123, whatever maybe the weird number, it will be charged only for that. Okay, you need not worry about the what do you call, flexibility in the capacity. Okay, we do have the flexibility in capacity. You need not worry about expansion of your capacity planning. You need not worry about that. Okay, whenever you want it, you can actually just insert your data, it will go and expand, and you will be paying for what you are using. You have 1.25 GB, yes, you would be charged for only 1.25 GB, unlike EBS. Okay, and once you create a volume size, you cannot decrease it, but you can increase in EBS. But in EFS, doesn't matter. As said, you can add it, you'll be charged accordingly. You decrease it, the same thing. Okay. And in EBS, if you have your EC2 instances in different availabilities in the same availability zone, in order to use this EBS volume, you need to detach it and attach it, right? But this EFS supports a common guys, I can't help. Okay, so in EFS, even if you have your EC2 instances in the same availability zone or in different availability zone, doesn't matter, you will be able to actually mount to this EFS, attach to this EFS. That is a main difference, where this EFS is a shared volume. From different instances in different availability zones, you will be able to mount to this EFS. Guys, I will check the chat. Please give me a minute. I'm in the middle of explaining these things. Okay, I'll answer your questions. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell here is this EFS is a shared volume for multiple instances which are in different availability zone. Okay, in order to mount or attach this EFS to the EC2 instances, you need to create mount targets in that specific availability zone. Just try to understand slowly. Okay, so mount targets is basically creating a network interface, like creating an IP address. Through this IP address, they can connect to this EFS. Like this. So if you don't create a mount target, can't I or can't this EC2 instance will be able to mount to the EFS? The answer is no, you can't. You have to enable a network interface, actually creating a network, so that through this network, this EC2 instances in this availability zone will be able to mount to this EFS. Okay. And this EFS will actually act as an NFS. NFS stands for Network File System. So this concept of sharing the same storage is not something new in AWS. Actually, we have in traditional data centers also. Okay, there they will call it as NFS, Network File System. So through network, they will connect and they will store a common data, so that all the servers can share the data. Okay, but in AWS, why we calling it as EFS? Because it supports auto scaling. It's elastic. That means whenever you want it, you're actually expanding your data, and whenever you don't want it, you're decreasing it. It supports auto scaling. You can increase your data and decrease it. That is the reason it's called elastic file system. And this EFS also supports NFS protocol. Like if you want to log into your EC2 instance from your local machine, this EC2 instance should have a security group which has SSH protocol. Yes, you remember? Which has port 22. Yesterday I was asking, not yesterday, assessment. I was asking what is a port. Okay, in the same way, if this EC2 instance need to attach or mount to this EFS should have a security group of NFS protocol. Then only EC2 instance will be able to mount it to this EFS. Okay, because this EFS will act as a file server and this EC2 instance should act like a NFS client. So first of all, we should make this EC2 instance an NFS client by installing an NFS client into this EC2 instance, and then we will be able to mount to this EFS. Okay, and why I'm using the word mount, because this EFS supports only for Linux workloads. Only the EC2 instances which are having the Linux as operating system will be able to mount to this EFS. Actually, I explained this in the last class also. Okay, I'm just giving a detailed recap. So Jayesh is asking, suppose after a few days we want that snapshot data, how to take where we can see? Dear, we have already seen how to see the snapshot. Okay, let me just share my screen. You see, guys, yesterday, in the last class when I have created an EC2 instance and created a volume and took a snapshot, you can see the snapshot from here. I already explained about this. Okay, so you might be having a snapshot here. You need to go to actions. Okay, it's just refreshing it. You need to go to actions and create a volume from that snapshot. Okay, can I use both EBS and EFS at the same time? Of course, because the EBS itself is a root volume. You cannot remove that. And EFS is for the data volume. Can we choose over EFS over EBS? No. See, you don't. You need to choose according to your use case. Let's take. You take EC2 instance. Okay, this EC2 instance by default will have a root volume which is EBS. You cannot deny that. Now we are talking about the EBS and EFS in terms of data volume. What do you want for data? Do you want EBS or EFS? Now this can be chosen in terms of your use case. Let's take your laptop, your PC. You might have, because if you're working in any company, the laptops which they give to you will have a shared path where you can share a lot of data with others, with your colleagues, and you will have some sort of folders where you can save your data privately to you. Okay, so if you want to share some sort of data to your colleagues, then you can go for EFS. But if you want a dedicated volume, then you will go for EBS. Very simple. Okay, so why would anyone go for EBS? Because no one, I mean, some files need not be shared to everyone, right? Okay, so EBS is mandatory for the root volume. Can you please explain again starting part Apache AMI, all that in a shortly again? Sujita, okay. Just 2 minutes, guys. I'll explain to her. See, let me just share my whole screen now. Okay, see. From AWS provided AMIs, these are the AMIs, and the snapshot, and this snapshot. Okay, I have chosen both to create an EC2 instance and EBS volume. So I have got an EC2 instance from AMI and I got an EBS volume from the snapshot. Okay, so once I create an EC2 instance and the snapshot, I have installed a small Apache, a web server called Apache. And I have taken an image out of it and I got an AMI from EC2 again, and I got a snapshot from the EBS volume, but I own it. But this instance is a modified instance by installing the package. That means the AMI or the snapshot will have the Apache. Okay, now when I create a second instance from this AMI, which I have created, where this Apache is there, this EC2 instance by default will have an Apache. When I say by default will have means I need not log in and install Apache again. That software is already there. Okay, so I already told you as an example, like if you want to go for installing an MS Office, maybe in 100 machines, you create one machine of MS Office, take an image, okay, and create another 99 from this image. All 99 instances by default will have MS Office installed. All machines will have MS Office. Okay. Yes, it's an additional storage. It is for data volume. Okay. Can I use both EBS and EFS at the same time? Yes, you can use it. Differences between the root and data volume. A root volume will have the operating system IP. It's like a C drive and DEF drives. Okay, so in Windows, you might be having your C drive. C drive will have the applications, everything, all the information about your operating system and all. But DEF, they're basically they're just empty files, just to save your data, right? Okay, so that's the difference between the root and the data volumes. Access our instances, we can access EFS. Across our instances, we can access EFS. Yes, we can do it. Okay, well said, Balaji. I said the same thing. So if you have auto scaling use case, I will not use EBS. In spite, I want data to be private. You're telling something or you're asking? Asking. If I have auto scaling use case, what do you mean by auto scaling use case, Pawan? Okay, I got it. Okay, so you want a volume, but it should support auto scaling, huh? You know what you need to do? You create EFS. Okay. Yeah, there is nothing importance with the LAMP server. Yeah, I just given tutorial so that you can try something. Please don't ask me about LAMP again and again. It is just a tutorial which was from AWS documentation. I just asked you to install. It's a simple application, web application. Yeah. Okay. So coming to the Pawan's question. See, if you want to support auto scaling and you still want the privacy, okay, you create an EFS. Okay. I said that in order to mount to this EFS from the EC2 instance, this EC2 instance should be an NFS client, and this EFS should have an NFS protocol. Okay. So what you do, you create an EC2 instance. Only from one instance you mount to EFS. Don't share this mount instructions of the EFS to anyone. That will become private. I'm just kidding, but your question is also the same way. Yes, actually you can do that, but if you want auto scaling as well as the privacy, then you connect or no, mount it from only one EC2 instance. No, you don't share your mount instructions to anyone. But the best thing which you can do it if you want a dedicated volume is EBS only. But EBS doesn't support auto scaling. No. Okay. Can snapshots be used to create EFS? See, the snapshots which you are taking are from EBS. No, how you can take how you can create EFS from EBS from the snapshots of EBS? No. No, answer is no. Okay. You can take a snapshot from EFS and you can create EFS from that snapshot. That you can do it. We have not yet discussed about the snapshots of EFS yet. Correct. Correct. Yes. From EFS volume, you can take a snapshots. Automated backups can be taken to restore it if you delete it by mistake. Is mounting not unique for each EC2 client? No, because the mount instruction is for the EFS, no? If you can install an NFS client and then having the same mount instructions, each EC2 instance can mount it. It's not unique. అయ్యో ఇట్ కేమ్ యూనో ఇంతకుముందు అస్సలు పేషెన్స్ లేదు ఇప్పుడు వచ్చేసింది ఇయర్స్ నుంచి టీచ్ చేసి I think you learn over a period of time. If I'm moving from EBS to EFS, how data migration happen? See, even if you are using an EBS volume or EFS volume, you are actually using through EC2 instance only kada. So in EC2 you will have a folder for EBS and you will have a folder for EFS. Copy cheskondi, cp command use chesi, simple. Migration అవసరం లేదు, దాన్ని కాపీ అంటారు అంతే. మైగ్రేషన్ ఇస్ డిఫరెంట్. ఆర్ మూవ్ చేయండి, సరేనా? ఓకే ఓకే కూల్. So what we'll do, the same thing which I have explained for EFS, let's implement it. I'll implement this in the console. Okay, so I'll just show you how do we implement. Amaya, iPen. So what I will do, I will create a security group first of all with NFS protocol. Okay, and then I create an EFS, elastic file system, with the security group. And when I am creating the EFS itself, I would enable the mount targets in all availability zones, so that I'm actually creating a network interface. Okay, and then I will create one instance in one availability zone and another instance in second availability zone, making sure that we are trying to prove that EFS is a common storage, and we're also trying to prove that wherever your EC2 instance is there, even if they're in different availability zone, these EC2 instances can have the common volume. Okay, that is the reason we create in different availability zones. And we will install the NFS client in these EC2 instances, and we'll try to mount to this EFS. We'll take the mount instructions from console and we'll try to mount it. Once I mount it, of course, how do I mount it? I will create a folder from both the instances and I'll mount to this folder. I attach to this folder. When I attach to this folder in the EC2 instance will become this EFS. That means whatever I store in this folder will actually saving in this EFS system or the elastic file system. Whatever I save from here to here. Now, if I create a file in this folder from first instance, this file would be stored in this file system. Okay, and this file can be seen from this folder also from another instance. That is what we are trying to prove. I'll tell you again, don't worry. Okay, okay. And I will create another file 2.txt from this EC2 instance in this folder, which is saving in EFS, and I can see two files from this folder as well as this folder, even if I have created differently. Okay. So first step is creating a security group with NFS protocol. Second step is creating an EFS, elastic file system, with this security group and creating the mount targets in all the availability zones. And third step is creating two EC2 instances, each in different availability zones. And fourth step is installing the NFS client and mounting the things. Once I mount it, I will create files as a fifth step. And we will see from both the instances. And we will see the same data in both the instances because these instances are sharing a common volume called EFS. Okay. If you don't have any questions, I'll continue to do it. If there are 3 instances as stores a file EFS, can BC delete the files to, yes. Yes, it can be deleted, edited, but you can control the, permissions here if you want to. Maybe you want to give only read access for the EC2 instances and don't want for write access. Yes, you can do that also. But by default, yes, all the instances will have the equal permissions. Good question, huh? Yes, you can control. Yes. Okay. Chalo. Let me just go back to the console. You're able to see my screen, right? Ma'am, can we edit the file created in 1A from 1B? Yes, yes, we can do it. We can do it. If you want it, I'll show that also. Just remind me. Okay, you're able to see the console page, right? Can we get any notes at the end of the session? Oh, I'm explaining very slowly, no? You can write, right? You can write W-R-I-T, write R-E-G-H-T. Please write, no? I don't get any notes if you ask me. But I'll recap if you ask. See, I'm even explaining the things which I have explained in the first class also. Right. Okay. So, as said, as a first step, let me just Okay, let me switch it. The first step is creating a security group. Let me do that. In the console, scroll down. Go to security groups. Create a security group. Okay. Let me just delete all remaining security group except the default one. You cannot delete the default one anyways. Please don't try to delete also. I'm just cleaning things up, that's it. Okay. And create a security group, excuse me. I'm just giving it as NFS. Copy the same thing and add a rule. So here I would be adding NFS, click on it, just keep it as anywhere, scroll down and create a security group. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll go and create okay. So now what I will do, I will create EFS. So duplicate your tab because I'm actually opening another service. So under the services, you can go to EFS. And create a file system. Okay. So you can actually give a name to your file system. I just give it as EFS. And you would be defining a VPC. So in the last class also I told that VPC is basically creating a network in the cloud, a private network in the cloud. And as soon as you create your AWS account, AWS would create a default VPC in all regions. Okay, and we are using this default VPC and we will create a custom VPC in the coming sessions, that because the VPC topic itself is a project. Now what we'll do, we'll try to, instead of creating, let's customize it because there are a lot of options which I need to disable it. Okay. So what you can do, I'm just giving a name as EFS, the same thing, and you need to disable these automated backups. Okay. Because automated backups are basically, AWS would create an automated backup for your EFS volume. That is the reason it's saying automatic. Okay, so if you want AWS to create backups for you, you can enable it, but it is telling additional charges apply. That is the reason we are disabling it, first point. And next comes with the lifecycle management. So lifecycle management is, for example, you are using EFS from multiple years, from many years, maybe from 2010. 15 also is fine. And you don't access the first year's data now, but you need it. Let's take your phone. You might be just looking into your previous years or recently recent photos and all. But very rarely you go back and just see your memories. The same way, organization may not be seeing or accessing the previous year's files. Okay. So what you can do is, with the help of lifecycle management, if you are not accessing the files frequently, then you can move to EFS, infrequent access storage class, to save the cost up to 90% off, up to 80 to 90% actually. Okay. So if you are not accessing a file from last 7, 14, 30, 90 or 3 months, what you can do, you can move your data to EFS, infrequent access storage class, to save some sort of cost. Okay, but the EFS which we are going to create, we will just create and delete it as soon as we create it, once we're done with the demonstration. So that is the reason I'm just keeping it as none. And we do have the performance mode. So if you want a good performance, a normal thing for multiple instances, then you can go for general purpose. But if you want more performance, that means more IOPS. IOPS stands for input output per second. So how many inputs and outputs you want it per second? For example, I mean, what do you mean by input and output? For example, you are requesting something to EFS. You're trying to access a file. Okay, so it has to open for you and it will show you. So it's an input and showing is an output. Okay, like that, you can have multiple instances accessing the same EFS. And you know what? You can share thousands of instances with the same EFS volume. Okay, so if you're having multiple instances, if you're having thousands of instances accessing the same EFS which you are going to create, then you can go for the max IO as well as the provision throughput. So throughput is basically the speed. So when you are requesting something, how fast it has to respond it. The performance and the throughput is different. Okay, so if you're having multiple instances, then you can go for max IO and throughput optimized, provisioned. Okay, and next comes with the encryption. If you want to encrypt your data, then you can enable it. And as I already told you, encryption will charge us. Okay, so just disable it and just keep this as a default settings and disable this encryption and scroll down. And next you can give the tags. So for that, you can just give a name. Tag is giving a name, right? And then again, I say EFS shared volume. Okay, and go to next step. Here you would be enabling the mount targets. You see, by default, the mount targets was enabled in all availability zones. You see, all availability zones. Okay, and here you will be defining the subnets and the network interface which I'm talking about. The IP address will take automatically. And here you should be giving the security group which I'm talking about. So it is by default, it is taking the default security group. Okay, and select the NFS one. Okay, selection is a little confusing, but you can just select like this. So make sure you have this NFS protocol enabled for all availability zones. Yeah, there are a lot of mosquitoes. Okay. So once you enable the mount targets and go to next step. And guys, if you have instances, see, usually in organizations in real time, you don't enable all the availability zones. You enable only few specific availability zones. Okay, so for example, if you're going for only 1 and 1B and your instance are in only 1 and 1B, then better you enable only these two. So that you said no, someone is asking me, do we have unique permissions for EC2 instances to mount to EFS? So what you can do, you can restrict here. So if you have an EC2 instance in 1A and you have another EC2 instance in another availability zones, enable only for 1A and don't enable for other availability zones, so that other EC2 instances in different availability zones will not be able to mount to this EFS even if they have the mount instructions. Great, right? Yes, you can do that like that if you want. Okay, so even if they have the instructions, everything, they can't mount it. Okay, and you can also create multiple subnets that we'll be discussing in VPC, and you can give only that specific subnet where your EC2 instance is there. Okay, the higher level you can restrict in many ways, like this. Okay, and go to next step. And here you would be defining a policy. Actually, it's optional. Basically, we have another service called IAM, where you define the permissions, who can access what. Okay, and here you can define prevent root access by default. That means they don't do anything for EFS. Enforce read-only access by default, or if you want, you're supposed to go for encryption. If you want to use EFS, you can enable them, but it's optional. But if you want to write your own policy, you can write it if you're aware of JSON. Okay, so you can go for JSON format. So what I would do, let me just, because it's optional, let me just keep it as optional and go to the last step. So here you can see what are all the things which we have selected. The performance, throughput, encrypted name, tag, the mount targets, everything. And you know what? You can disable and enable the mount targets whenever you want it. You can also edit now. And after the creation of EFS also, you can, what do you call? Disable and enable it. You can change, play around and just create it. Okay, so now your EFS is creating and our second step is done. We have created an EFS with security group as NFS, and we have mounted to all availability zones. Now what we'll do, we'll create the EC2 instances. So let me just go to the first tab, go to instances, launch instance, and let me just select Ubuntu as our first instance, T2 Micro, which is FreeTAR eligible, and the VPC, select the default VPC. This time I'll go for 1A, add storage, the root volume, add tags. So I just give it as the instance 1, instance, because I'm creating 2 instances. I just keep it as only SSH because I will log in into it and I'll share. I'll just mount to EFS, launch it, choose an existing key pair and launch the instance. Okay. The same way I would create another instance in 1B. Scroll down, Ubuntu 16.0 for LTS, select it, T2 Micro, conferences details, and go for 1B, add storage, add tags, and instance 2. Configure security group, just keep it as anywhere, review and launch it. You can choose an existing key pair. So you can select any one of it and acknowledge it and launch the instance. It is just that key pair which you are going to select it, that should be there in your laptop. Then yes, you can use any key pair. Okay, now your instances are running. Okay, we are just 8 minutes left. Okay. Any questions, guys? Shall we go for queries? If you have any, or shall I continue? I'm not sure. We can't. We can't complete in 8 minutes. Okay, I'll continue. So, anyways, I'll explain again tomorrow. Explain tomorrow also. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you explain once again? Oh, you don't want me to continue. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Okay, wait. You don't want me to see. Am I boring you? You're asking me not to continue. Okay. Funny guys. Tomorrow we'll be talking about, we'll just try to implement, I mean, I'll try to connect from the EC2 instances to EFS. And we'll just go forward to other service called S3. Maybe we may have some other features explained in in EC2 guys. We have not yet done with EC2. Can we place different operating system? Like, yes, you can have Ubuntu. Yes, it doesn't matter. It is just that you should know the commands for Fedora or Red Hat or Ubuntu. I'm little familiar with Ubuntu because I should not get confused in front of you by using different operating systems. But yes, you can go for different operating systems. Doesn't matter. It is just that there should be Linux. Okay. See, guys, please understand the recordings are not supposed to give. That is the reason we are not giving. Okay. So from more than 3+ in teaching, you know what? When I'm like pursuing my engineering, I used to go and teach something to my friends, my classmates. So when I get a job, once I'm done my graduation, so I miss these things, teaching skills. I like to teach, but somehow I got an opportunity. Masters, yes, I have done post-graduation in cloud computing. In AWS only I have done my post-graduation. Yeah. So 2 to 3:30, same. Maybe today we are a little late. Oh, cha, that is the reason it was so fast. Okay. 2 to 3:30, same timings. Okay. I have done in US. Yeah, IIT Chicago, but it's an, I didn't go there. No. Oh, you're planning to go. Okay, good. You can contact me personally. I do have contacts there. I can send you. AWS charges money for EFS. Guys, to Canada, okay, you can go. Not to US, huh? Okay, I'm not sure that you're sure about Canada. So see, under the free tier, you can use up to 5 GB for free. 5 GB of data, you can store it in EFS. More than that, AWS will charge you. But guys, please don't enable these options. 1 second. I'll share it. I'll share my screen. When you are creating an EFS, okay, what you're doing. Second. Yeah. So when you say create file system and customize it, see, you have automated backups, this lifecycle management, these options, and encryption. You should not enable it. If you enable, then it will definitely charge you, irrespective of whether you have data into it or not. Okay? No recordings will be shared here. See, I'm going very slowly. It is just because you can write the notes. Okay? And if you want me to do it, you can just do the hands-on in the session also. I'll help you if you're not able to do it. Yeah. So you can set limits in billing. Yes, you can also set limits in billing. We have a billing alerts. Yes, that is what Rachik can't. Funny guys. See, actually, I think it is recording. Yeah, it is recording, but the recordings are not shared to you. See, what is happening is, as said, because I'm an educator officially from AWS, so they have explicitly told that we are not supposed to share the PPTs as well as the recordings. It would be a problem for me, actually. That is the reason I strictly told not to share it. And second thing is, the recordings are actually getting misused. Yeah, please don't ask no again. I can't help. Write notes and try not to ask, ma'am. Repeat again. Do you want me to write the notes, Ravi? Yeah, thanks. Chalo guys. I'll just show you the cleanup. Tomorrow I'll just create again in front of you, and I'll connect it from both the instances. Okay, so as of now, let me just show you how to clean up the things. So you need to click on the EFS, the file system which you have created, and go to delete. And it is telling this a destructive action because you might be sharing sharing the data in the EFS from multiple instances. So AWS is warning you that don't delete it, but we know that it's just for demonstration. So in order to delete it, you have to give the EFS ID and confirm it. Yeah, see, it's deleting. So it will slowly delete all the mount targets, everything one by one, and it delete the EFS. In that meanwhile, what we can do, you select the instances, both the instance at a time, you can do it. Go to actions, instance state, and then terminate. Say terminate. And the instances would be terminate, and you will see the terminated state, and you will see the records in the terminated state for a couple of hours, and it will disappear automatically. If you would have tried before, you will be knowing it. Okay, and this EFS, you see, it got deleted successfully, and then soon this instances also will get deleted. Messages. Okay, we also do along with you. Guys, please don't do with me. You may miss a lot of points because I explain a lot, but if you ask me explicitly, I'll give time for you to do it. Yes. So what we'll do, tomorrow I'll show you how to connect to EFS, and you can do it. If it is fine for you, please do it. I'm happy to help you. How to delete mount targets? Just delete the EFS, everything will be deleted. Oh, you're fine. If you're fine, yes, please. So tomorrow, please connect with your laptops. Okay. And I'll share you the steps one by one. Okay. So we'll do one thing. We'll do like this. Yeah, time up. Ma'am, ఒక రోజు 3 instances create చేశాను in Day1 and the amount deducted from my card. Share this with others too. No. You created 3 instances with what? Hey, we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay. Please give us some time to practice in class itself. I'm happy. No problem. Yeah, we'll continue from tomorrow. Yes. సో ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఒక పని చేయండి మీరు. నేను మొత్తం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాక మీరు కనెక్ట్ అవ్వండి, అన్ని మీ ల్యాప్టాప్స్ నుంచి కనెక్ట్ అవ్వండి. నేనేం చేస్తాను, ఒక్కొక్క స్టెప్ నేను ఇక్కడ మీకు చేసి చూపిస్తుంటాను. యూ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ ద సేమ్ థింగ్. దట్ వుడ్ బి గ్రేట్. హ్యాపీ ఇండిపెండెన్స్ డే. యా, చలో బాయ్ గైస్, బాయ్. నేను చూసుకుంటాను, ఎర్రర్ రేపు చూసుకున్నాం, రేపు మాట్లాడతాను. ఓకేనా? ఐ డిస్కస్ టుమారో. ఓకే. EFS delete అవ్వలేదా? అయిందిపా. సి గాట్ డిలీటెడ్. I don't have any resources. Yeah. Oh, Mika. Okay. We'll see tomorrow. Don't try it here. Don't try it now. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Chala. Bye. Bye. Good day.